Erev Tov, and a wonderful, wonderful Chof Teves. That this was the day here today. In Chutz La'aretz, it's still the 20th of the Hebrew month of Tevet, which is the day of the Hilulah, the day of the passing of the great Maimonides, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the Rambam. And it's a very auspicious day for all the blessings, materially, spiritually, in the study of halacha, in the study of Jewish philosophy, in the study of even those things that they share the common denominator of Kabbalah, but the Rambam doesn't label it Kabbalah, but nevertheless, they're very outstandingly, they are actually words of Kabbalah, to the extent that the Rebbe brings in the name of the Frierdiker Rebbe that in the Rambam's Yad HaChazakah, the book of law, his Jewish code of law that he wrote, that he compiled, there are at least two halachas that he does not bring any, in regard to all the halachas that he brings, he does not bring any reasoning behind the halachas. In other words, he doesn't bring his source, usually, unless it has to do with the actual law itself. But otherwise, he does not quote a source. His source is the 5 books of Moses. That's what he says at the beginning, at the preface of his work of the Yad HaChazakah. Nevertheless, and there are those that, the Kesef Mishnah, the Lechem Mishnah, that they go, and other commentaries that dig up the sources of where the Rambam brings his halacha from. What is the root, the source of where he brings his halacha from? But there are two places. And the Rebbe quotes in the name of the Frierdiker Rebbe still, that the Rambam brings two halachas. I think one is in regard to tithing, Maisres, if I'm not mistaken, and I think another one has to do with the service in the Beis Hamikdash, of which, if I remember correctly, I think it has to do with the halachas that pertain to the thoughts that the Kohanim have when they are performing the sacrificial services. So in regard he brings two halachas, and if you search anywhere, high and low, up and down, in all the oral law, you're not going to find these halachas. The only place that you can find the source for these halachas that the Rambam brings is in the Zohar. And therefore, the Rebbe brings in the name of the Frierdiker Rebbe, he comes and he concludes that it's obvious, without a doubt, that the Rambam studied Kabbalah and he learned Kabbalah, and there are things that he actually brought in his law, a book of law, according to Kabbalah, but he never mentioned it. He never mentions it on an outright basis. And this was a gzeira. We're told that it was a decree from heaven that the writings of the Kabbalah should be hidden for 1,000 years, literally hidden for entire 1,000 years, an entire millennium. And this was it's explained that it should be hidden for 1,000 years in order that the concept of the writings of the Kabbalah should not come to fruition yet. Oh, Baruch Hashem, we have our Kohen. We're talking about the service of the Kohen. What do we mean by that? That since the study of Kabbalah, the study of the Zohar, is part and parcel of the bringing of the revelation of Mashiach, so therefore above it was decreed that it should be hidden for a millennium, in order for Mashiach not to be able to come yet. And therefore all those great Torah scholars, if it's Rambam, if it's Rashi, they don't mention anything about Kabbalah. The first commentary, the first Torah commentary that starts to dabble meaning reveal to us the existence of Kabbalah apparently is the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachmanides. But this is also something that he does on a very borderline basis, not right outward, like later on, after the Ramban comes the Ariya Kodesh. We know Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, and he speaks about it, all the Kisvei Ha'ari, and so on, the writings of the Ari, Rabbi Chaim Vital, who compiled the writings of the Ari, and so on. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the giant of all giants, the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, and he is also the one and only sole codifier of in the Jewish code of law that brings us the laws that pertain to what? To Mashiach. All the other codifiers don't bring anything that has to do with Mashiach. He is the lone codifier that brings us the laws that have to do not only in our day and age, from the time of the Golus, of the exile, but also those laws that pertain and have to do with the time of Geula, when we have the Beis Hamikdash and the majority of the Jewish nation are here in their land and in our land, and so on. And so we see that this is something that is a very central concept, and the Rebbe brings this. And the Rebbe also, apparently, one of the major reasons that the Rebbe goes and brings he brings the indoctrination of learning the book of the laws of the Rambam, and this is already from Pesach 1984, Tafshin Mem Daled Mem, is because that he's the only source for Geula. He's the only source when we're talking about the laws, about Jewish laws. He's the only source for Mashiach and Geula. And so this is his day of celebration, and definitely, it was important to mention his day of the day of his Hilula. His chus, his merit is standing for us. And there's no doubt that he's doing all that he can in order to bring the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach on a good and revealed basis immediately now, Teichef Umiyad Mamash. And we'll go from here, from the day of the Rambam, to our story tonight. But I have to just put something on hold and ask for this week's story. Definitely, we're making sure that the story in all our study is for the schus, the merit of the soldiers, to have a complete victory, and all the injured to have a complete recovery, and all those that are still Rahman al-Islan hostages to be recovered and brought back. Teichef umiyad mamash, like our mother Rachel says. Hashem promises, Rachel imenu v'shavu banim ligvulam. And Teichef umiyad mamash, with the Geula Shleima V'Amitis, the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. This told a story, and this is going back to the times of Rabbi Yisrael of Ruzhin. And the story goes that there was a chassid of Rabbi Yisrael of Ruzhin who had a pundak. He had a tavern, and the work at the tavern was very difficult. He barely made enough in order to go and to make his parnasa, to make his livelihood. And to make it worse, he had to go and on a monthly basis, he had to pay his rent to the land baron. Now, the land baron, who was not Jewish, he placed the poritz placed under him a Jew to go and to be the accountant, and as the accountant, he wasn't only just adding up the pluses and the minuses, but he also had to go and to collect the rent. When it came to going to collecting the rent from this particular Jew, the owner of the tavern, the accountant, the Jewish accountant, knew how difficult it was for him. So every time he came to collect, and the owner of the tavern told him that he doesn't have what to give, so he tried to give him another month of credit, but then he says, listen, that's it. We can't do it anymore. It's already 3 months, and I need to live up to my responsibilities to to the poritz, to the land baron, and therefore I'm going to need to send you away and retake the tavern, maybe to rent it out to someone else. Now, this chassid, he immediately, upon hearing this, and he didn't know what to do, he went to the Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin, and Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin heard the story, and the other accountant was also a chassid of Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin, so he called him over. And he spoke to him, and he told him, listen, this is this is a Jew that you would be taking away his parnasa, the source of sustenance for his family, his wife. You can't do this. So he said, give him a little more time. So he said, okay, fine, I'll give him a little more time. Gave him more time, and at the end of the time that was stated, he comes to collect, and he says, I tried my best, but I couldn't make the money. He says, okay, wow. So what am I supposed to do with you? I have to send you out. He says, please give me another 3 months. Gave him another 3 months, and it didn't work. So he says, that's it, finished. I have to send you out. And he was about to send him out. He says, wait, he goes to Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin again. And Rav Yisrael says, call the accountant. He speaks to the accountant and he says, listen, this person is doing everything he can in order to go into round up the rent, but he still hasn't been able to. Give him more time. So he says, okay, I'll give him to the end of the year to go into to collect the money, but that's it. I can't do it anymore. And the story goes that he gave him the end of the year. The owner of the tavern still didn't have the money to pay. They went back again to Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin. Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin told him, listen, do something for him. So he says, oh, you know what? I'll wipe out all his debt. I'm willing to forego all the debt of the previous year. But now, from now on, he has to go and he has to make the money and he has to pay me. Because otherwise I can't deal with the poritz. I can't deal with the land baron. He says, fine. And 1 month goes after the other. There's nothing doing. And Rav Yisrael of Ruzhin said what he said, but the accountant said, that's it, finished. I can't do it anymore. I can't live up to my responsibilities towards the land baron. So he had to go and he had to have the owner of the tavern removed with his family. The owner of the tavern went through such great anguish and pain that it literally, Rahman Litzlan, took his life, and his soul, his neshama, went up to heaven. But then later on, not far afterwards, the neshama of the accountant, the Jewish accountant, was also called for, and this accountant also, Rahman Litzlan, passed away, and his neshama went up to heaven as well. Now he was being judged, the accountant, and everything seemed to be quite okay, excepting the fact of how he treated the owner of the tavern. And they said, listen, it was your fault that this person died. You caused the anguish and the grief to the point where the person couldn't take it anymore and he died. And so therefore you're going to be judged for this. The accountant said, what? What are you talking about? It was according to Shulchan Aruch, according to the letter of the law. The Jewish code of law says, that if the person doesn't have the money and he can't pay up, so he has to be removed. And I gave him another chance and another chance and another chance. I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't able to go and to do anything. So what was I supposed to do? He says, nevertheless, it was not correct. It was wrong. What you did was not correct. So he says, listen, I don't want to be judged by this court. Bring me someone, because the court here is all in the spiritual realms. And in the spiritual realms, that's all you know. But you don't know what it is to go into work with money in and out, day in, day out. It's a terrible pressure. It's a terrible stress. I want someone that was here in this world that knows what money is all about. So they said, okay, fine. So we'll bring someone. Who did they bring? They bring the Beis Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, the great codifier. And they went and they said, listen, judge this person. So Rabbi Yosef Karo sits and he judges, and he says, according to law, he was correct, but lifni mishra sadin, within the letter of the law, he did not act properly. He did not behave the way he's supposed to behave. So the accountant is all up at arms, and he says, this is impossible. I mean, you have to give me someone that is fresh, more fresh from the material world. I mean, how long has this guy? How long has the Beis Yosef? How long has the Rabbi Yosef Karo been sitting up here in the spiritual worlds? He forgot what it means to go into, how hard it is to go into make a living, how hard it is to go into to earn a dollar. Bring me someone that has to do with this material, with the material world. So during this whole story was told during a Farbrengen. It was a Farbrengen of the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch. And as the Tzemach Tzedek is telling the story, and he says about the fact that this person wanted someone, that this person wanted someone from down below, a great rabbi, to go and to judge him, a person that is within the material world, within the physical world, that knows how to relate to the material world. So the Tzemach Tzedek turns to the Hasidim, and he looks at them and he says, "No, so what do you think? Is he, is this person meant to be? Is this person guilty, or can we, or should we judge him in favor because of the pressures and the stress of the material world?" The Hasidim immediately, the Hasidim are very wise, and they immediately understood what was going on, and they said, "No, he's not guilty. He's not guilty. He's not guilty." And that was the end of the story. The Hasidim understood that what this whole story that the Tzemach Tzedek was telling wasn't a story that happened once upon a time, but it was a story that was happening in actuality, here and now. And this person right now up in heaven was being judged, and they were looking for someone to go and to judge him down here in this material, physical world. And this is how this person was acquitted from being guilty, even though he didn't do to the letter of the law. And this is how, when we're talking about our behavior, we're only flesh and blood, we're only human beings, and we're under the pressures and the stress of the physical material world. And we know that not everything that we do on a regular basis is in accordance to the way we should be doing our conduct, our behavior. And nevertheless, when we're talking about people, so people are people, and they'll do what they do. And therefore, there is a place to go and to be judging a person, lifni mishra sadin, also, to go and to judge a person within the letter of the law, and not only to go and to say that this person didn't stand up to his agreements, didn't stand up to his responsibilities, and therefore he's guilty and he's meant to be judged unfavorably. And this is what we come, and through this story, we come and we're asking Hashem. We know that our conduct is as it was till now. We know that our behavior wasn't up to par. We know that everything is in need of rectification. We all need tikkunim. But Eibishter, within all these situations that you put us, we're in the physical material world. We're under the stress. We're under the pressure of the material world. And you're up there, you know what's going on. You know how hard it is, how difficult it is. And therefore, what we're asking is to judge us favorably and to bring us the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach immediately now. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Chai v'Kayam le'olam vo'ed. Amen.